17-year-old Darius Williams stands at the corner of 5th and Main, clutching a crumpled $5 bill in his trembling hand. The rain hammers down like bullets, turning the empty intersection into a river of regret. His stomach screams from 18 hours without food, but that's not what stops him in his tracks. It's the old man. Shivering on the bus bench, soaked to the bone, the elderly stranger looks more lost than a child in a department store. His lips are turning blue. His hands shake uncontrollably. And Darius? Darius has exactly one choice to make with his last $5. Feed himself and his little sister tomorrow, or save a life tonight. What Darius doesn't know is that this frail, confused old man sitting in the storm will change everything. Because sometimes, the people who need our help the most aren't who they appear to be. This is the story of how one sandwich changed 2 lives forever. But let's rewind 12 hours to when Darius's day began like every other day, with a choice between impossible and unthinkable. 5:17 a.m. The alarm doesn't work because the electricity was cut off yesterday. Instead, Darius wakes to his internal clock, the same one that's been trained by months of survival. The apartment is freezing. Through paper-thin walls, he can hear Mrs. Rodriguez next door, coughing like her lungs are full of glass. Maya sleeps curled in a ball on the mattress they share, her 12-year-old frame looking even smaller under the thin blanket their grandmother left them. Darius watches her breathe for a moment, calculating. Half a sleeve of crackers left, 1 packet of instant oatmeal, and that $5 bill, their bridge to tomorrow. Every dollar matters, every choice matters. But if you can help someone, you help someone. That's what Grandma taught us. The words echo in his mind as he checks on Maya, making sure she's warm enough. She stirs slightly, and Darius holds his breath. If she wakes up hungry, he'll have to split the crackers. If she sleeps another hour, maybe she won't notice the empty feeling clawing at her stomach. 6:45 a.m. 2-mile walk to Jefferson High. No bus money means Darius's Jordans, a Christmas gift from Grandma 2 years ago, are wearing thin. The soles have holes, but he's learned to step carefully around puddles. Can't afford to get sick. Can't afford to miss work. School is Darius's sanctuary, the one place where his empty stomach doesn't matter as much as his full brain. AP Calculus, first period. While other kids complain about derivatives, Darius loses himself in the logic of numbers. Math makes sense. Math has rules. Math doesn't care that you ate cereal with water because there's no milk money. Nice work on yesterday's problem set, Darius, Mrs. Patterson says, handing back his test. Perfect score again. Thank you, ma'am. You know, there's a summer program at MIT for students like you. Full ride, meals included. The words hang in the air like a beautiful lie. Summer programs are for kids whose biggest worry is choosing between camps, not for kids who count quarters for lunch money. 11:30 a.m., lunch period. Darius sits in the library pretending to study while his classmates eat. He's gotten good at this performance, looking busy when his stomach sounds like a broken garbage disposal. Sometimes the librarian, Mrs. Kim, leaves half a sandwich on the desk near him. Oh, I'm just too full to finish this. They both pretend it's a coincidence. Yo, Darius! Marcus Thompson slides into the chair next to him. Are you tutoring Jake Peterson in calculus today? Yeah, after school. Dude charges $50 an hour for tutoring, and you do it for free. You're insane. Darius shrugs. Jake's struggling. We all struggle with something. But what Marcus doesn't understand, what nobody understands, is that helping feels better than eating. When Darius explains a concept and watches understanding light up someone's face, his stomach stops hurting for a while. Purpose is the best appetite suppressant. 3:15 p.m. School ends, but Darius's day is just getting started. 4-hour shift at Brooks's Corner Market, where Mr. Brooks pays him $9 an hour under the table because Darius is too young for official employment and too desperate to care about labor laws. Darius, you look thin, Mr. Brooks says in his careful English as Darius stocks shelves. Are you eating enough? Yes, sir. Just growing tall, not wide. Mr. Brooks's eyes are too kind, too knowing. He leaves a bag of day-old sandwiches near the register. The customer returned these. Wrong order. Can't sell them. The customer return story changes every week. Wrong order. Allergic to mayonnaise. Ordered turkey. Got ham. Darius plays along because pride is still cheaper than hunger. 7:20 p.m. Darius walks home past the Riverside district, where houses have 3-car garages and swimming pools. Streetlights work here. Sidewalks don't have cracks. Important people live behind these gates. City councilmen, business owners, people whose decisions shape lives like his and Maya's. He touches the brass compass keychain on his belt loop, his grandmother's last gift. Always point toward doing right, she used to say. Even when doing right costs everything. 8:45 p.m. Home. Maya sits at their card table doing homework by candlelight because romance novels make candles sound magical, but poverty makes them a necessity. How was school, baby girl? Good. Mrs. Walsh said I have potential in science. Maybe I could be an engineer someday. Darius's heart swells and breaks simultaneously. Maya has potential like a rocket has potential. Unlimited, if only someone would light the fuse. But potential doesn't pay rent. Dreams don't buy groceries. They split the last packet of oatmeal, pretending it's a feast. Maya gets the bigger portion because she's still growing, still believing in engineered futures and scientific possibilities. Darius eats around the edges of his serving, making it last longer, making Maya think they both have enough. 10:30 p.m. Maya asleep. Darius studies by streetlight streaming through their window, working on scholarship applications he can't afford to submit. Reading about opportunities designed for kids whose guidance counselors know the right people, whose recommendation letters come on letterhead that means something. His stomach cramps from emptiness, but his mind stays sharp. Tomorrow, Mr. Brooks will pay him for this week's work. $47 and change. Rent money. Grocery money. The $5 difference between surviving and not. But tonight, as storm clouds gather outside their window, Darius has no idea that tomorrow's plan is about to be derailed by an old man who will test everything he believes about kindness, sacrifice, and the price of doing right. Because sometimes, the universe has different plans for our last $5. Thursday, 6:47 p.m. Darius's shift at Brooks's Corner Market ends the same way it always does, with Mr. Brooks pressing an extra $10 bill into his palm. Bonus for good work, Mr. Brooks says, but his eyes carry the weight of understanding. They both know it's charity disguised as employment, and they both pretend otherwise. $47.63. Darius counts it twice, the way you count medicine when someone's life depends on the dosage. Rent is $42 behind. That leaves $5.63 for food until next week. He's done this math before. One grocery store sandwich split with Maya, crackers for the rest. The plan is simple. The plan is survival. But as Darius steps outside, the sky has other ideas. The storm hits like God's own temper tantrum. Not the gentle rain that whispers against windows, but the violent kind that turns streets into rivers and sends smart people running for cover. Weather reports called for light showers. This looks like the apocalypse had a bad day. Lightning cracks overhead so Darius can taste the electricity. The temperature drops 20 degrees in 10 minutes, and suddenly his thin jacket feels like tissue paper. He pulls his hood up and starts the long walk home, calculating routes that avoid the worst flooding. That's when he sees him. The bus stop at 5th and Main, normally crowded with evening commuters, now stands empty except for one figure. An elderly white man sits on the metal bench, and even from 50 yards away, Darius can tell something's terribly wrong. The man isn't waiting for a bus. He's not checking his phone or looking down the street with that familiar commuter impatience. He's just sitting, motionless, water streaming off his gray hair like a broken fountain. Darius's first instinct is self-preservation. Mind your business. Get home. Maya's waiting. You can't save everyone. But his feet slow down anyway because some lessons go deeper than survival instinct. Closer now, Darius can see the details that paint a picture of disaster. The man's clothes, expensive once, but now waterlogged and clinging to his thin frame like surrender. His hands shake not just from cold but from something deeper. Confusion clouds his pale blue eyes. "Sir?" Darius approaches carefully, the way you might approach a wounded animal. "Sir, are you okay?" The old man looks up, and his gaze struggles to focus. When he speaks, his words slur slightly, like his tongue forgot how to work properly. I had the address. The car was supposed to..." He pats his pockets frantically, coming up empty. Where did I put it?" Hypothermia. Darius recognizes the signs from caring for his grandmother during her final winter, when heating bills meant choosing between warmth and food. The shallow breathing, the confusion, the way the man's lips are edging toward blue. "Sir, how long have you been sitting here?" "The meeting. I can't miss the foundation dinner." The man's voice fades in and out like a radio losing signal. "They're expecting me at..." Foundation dinner. In this neighborhood, that could mean anything. Church basement potluck or charity gala. But the man's watch catches what little light filters through the storm clouds, and Darius notices something odd. Despite everything else falling apart, the watch looks expensive. Really expensive. The engraving is too small to read in the dim light, but Darius can make out letters. HC, 50 years of service. "Sir, do you remember your phone number? Someone we can call?" The man stares at him with growing panic. No, I can't. Everything's fuzzy." His hands won't stop shaking. "My wallet. Did I drop my wallet?" Darius scans the ground around the bench. No wallet, no phone, no ID. Just a business card floating face down in a puddle, too waterlogged to read clearly. The corporate logo, some kind of stylized tree, is barely visible through the water damage. The storm intensifies, and Darius realizes they're running out of time. The man's breathing is getting shallower. His words are spacing further apart. Classic signs of severe hypothermia setting in. "Sir, I need to get you somewhere warm. Right now." Can't feel my feet." Emergency vehicles can't navigate the flooded streets. The nearest hospital is 3 miles away. But there's a 24-hour gas station 2 blocks over, and Darius knows the owner keeps the heat cranked up high. He also knows what this decision means. His last $5, 63 cents. The money that represents tomorrow's breakfast, split between 2 hungry kids. The old man tries to stand and nearly collapses. Darius catches him, surprised by how frail he feels, like bird bones wrapped in expensive fabric. Despite his confusion, there's something in the man's bearing, a refinement that speaks of boardrooms and first-class flights, even while he's falling apart on a bus bench. "I'm getting you help," Darius says, making the choice his grandmother's compass would approve of. "Can you walk if I help you?" "Why would you? You don't even know me." "Sir, when someone needs help, you help. That's how this works." As they shuffle toward the gas station, Darius doesn't notice the way the old man studies his face with growing clarity, as if recognizing something important. He doesn't see the moment when confusion briefly clears, and the man whispers, almost too quietly to hear over the storm. "Just like Michael would have done." But those words will matter later. Everything about this night will matter later, because sometimes saving a stranger means saving yourself. The gas station glows like a lighthouse in the storm, its fluorescent lights cutting through sheets of rain that seem determined to wash the world clean. Darius half carries, half guides the old man across the flooded parking lot, both of them soaked to the bone. "Stay with me, sir. We're almost there." The automatic doors whoosh open, and blessed heat hits them like a warm embrace. Behind the counter, Ahmed looks up from his phone, taking in the sight of a teenager supporting an elderly man who looks like he's seen better decades. "Emergency," Darius says simply. "This man needs help." Ahmed doesn't ask questions. In this neighborhood, you learn to recognize real crises from manufactured drama. He points toward the back corner where a space heater creates a pocket of serious warmth. "Get him by the heater. I'll call 911. Darius guides Harold to a plastic chair and immediately starts damage assessment. The old man's jacket is beyond soaked. It's holding water like a sponge. His pants are plastered to thin legs. But it's the shivering that worries Darius most. The violent, uncontrollable kind that means the body's losing its fight against the cold. "We need to get you out of these wet clothes, sir." Can't stop shaking." Darius pulls off his own jacket, dry on the inside thanks to its cheap waterproof shell, and wraps it around Harold's shoulders. The difference is immediate. Harold's breathing starts to even out just slightly. "What's your name, sir?" "Harold, I think. Yes, Harold." The words come clearer now, like fog lifting from a mountain. There was supposed to be a car." "It's okay. Help is coming. But first, when did you last eat?" Harold's pale eyes struggle to focus. Yesterday morning, I think. Maybe longer. Everything's fuzzy." 24 hours, maybe more. Hypothermia plus hunger plus whatever medical episode brought this on, Harold needs calories, and he needs them now. Darius looks at the gas station's food selection. Hot dogs spinning under heat lamps, sandwiches in the refrigerated case, energy bars, coffee that could double as motor oil. $5.63. His last payment until next week's payday. The turkey sandwich costs $4.99. The coffee is $1.50. Math doesn't lie. He can afford one or the other, not both, and definitely not food for himself and Maya tomorrow. But Harold's lips are still edged with blue, and his hands won't stop shaking, and Darius hears his grandmother's voice. "When someone needs help, you help. The rest sorts itself out." "Ahmed, can I get that turkey sandwich and a large coffee, extra hot?" $5.50 total. Darius counts out his money carefully. $47 goes back in his pocket. That's rent money, sacred and untouchable. The $5.63 gets handed over, leaving him with 13 cents and a hollow feeling in his stomach that has nothing to do with hunger. Harold watches this transaction with growing clarity, as if the warmth is burning away confusion like morning sun burns away fog. "Son, you don't have to—" "Sir, when did you last eat?" "I told you yesterday, but—" "Then you need this more than I do." Darius unwraps the sandwich and hands it over, along with the steaming coffee. Harold's hands shake so badly he can barely hold the cup, so Darius steadies it for him, helping him take small sips. "Slow," Darius instructs, the way he used to help his grandmother when she was weak. "Small bites. Don't shock your system." The change is remarkable. Color returns to Harold's face like someone adjusting the contrast on an old TV. The violent shivering calms to occasional tremors. His breathing deepens and steadies. "Better?" "Much." Harold's voice carries strength now, authority that wasn't there before. "But son, this was your money, your food. We'll figure it out tomorrow when tomorrow comes." Harold studies Darius's face with an intensity that makes the teenager uncomfortable. There's recognition there, but recognition of what? They've never met before. Darius would remember. "What's your name?" "Darius Williams." "Williams." Harold repeats the name like he's testing how it fits. "And you live around here?" "A few blocks over, with my little sister." "Parents?" The question hits like it always does, a small knife between the ribs. "Passed when I was 14. Maya was 9. We've been managing." Something changes in Harold's expression. The confusion is completely gone now, replaced by sharp focus and what looks almost like pain. "Managing how?" "I work at Brooks's Corner Market. Go to school. Maya's the smart one, though. She's going to be an engineer someday. And you? What are your plans? Darius shrugs, uncomfortable with the scrutiny. College, maybe, if I can figure out how to pay for it. Right now, I'm just trying to keep us fed and housed. Ahmed approaches with a cordless phone. Paramedics are 10 minutes out. Roads are bad, but they're coming. Harold nods, then turns back to Darius with laser focus. Son, do you have any idea what you just did? Helped someone who needed help. Anyone would have done the same thing. No. Harold's voice carries absolute certainty. No, they wouldn't have. I've been sitting on that bench for over an hour. Dozens of cars passed. 3 people walked by with umbrellas. You're the only one who stopped. Maybe they didn't see. They saw. Trust me, they saw. Harold takes another sip of coffee, and his hands are steady now. You gave me your last money, didn't you? Darius doesn't answer, but his silence speaks volumes. Your food money, for you and your sister. We'll figure it out. Why? Harold's question cuts through the gas station's fluorescent buzz. Why would you do that for a stranger? Darius touches his grandmother's compass keychain, feeling its familiar weight. Because if you can help someone, you help someone. That's what family is. That's what community is. That's what being human is. Harold's eyes fill with something that might be tears, but could also be relief or recognition, or some emotion Darius doesn't have a name for. Outside, emergency sirens cut through the storm. Red and blue lights paint the gas station windows in alternating colors of hope and urgency. That's your ride, Darius says, standing up. You're going to be okay. Wait. Harold reaches into his jacket pocket and pulls out a waterlogged wallet. Please let me pay you back. Pay you. Sir, I don't want your money. I just wanted to make sure you were safe. At least take my card. In case... Harold fumbles through the wallet, producing a business card that's survived the storm better than expected. Call if you ever need anything. Anything at all. Darius takes the card politely, the way you take a business card from someone's uncle who sells insurance. He glances at it briefly, sees Harold C. and something about a foundation, but he's more focused on making sure Harold can walk to the ambulance. As the paramedics load Harold onto a stretcher, the old man calls out through the back window, Darius Williams! I won't forget this! I won't forget you! And as the ambulance disappears into the storm, Darius stands in the gas station parking lot with 13 cents in his pocket and absolutely no idea that his life just changed forever. Because sometimes, the smallest acts of kindness create the biggest ripples. But Harold isn't done yet. As the paramedics check his vitals and prepare to load him into the ambulance, Harold calls out with surprising strength, Wait! Please, just one moment. The lead paramedic, a woman named Sarah who's seen enough emergencies to recognize when something matters, pauses. Sir, we really need to get you to the hospital. 30 seconds. Please. Harold struggles to sit up on the stretcher, his eyes locked on Darius with laser focus. From his jacket pocket, he pulls out a soggy wallet, water dripping from expensive leather. Son, come here. Darius approaches reluctantly. In his experience, when adults get that tone in their voice, it usually means trouble or unwanted charity, sometimes both. Harold counts out 5 $20 bills, each one slightly damp but perfectly legal tender. Take this. You saved my life. Sir, I can't. $100, please. You spent your last money on me. The money sits between them like a test. Darius stares at it, and for a moment the math runs through his head without permission. $100. 2 weeks of groceries. Maya's school supplies. The electricity bill that's been sitting on their kitchen table like an accusation. But accepting money for helping someone feels wrong in a way that goes deeper than pride. Mr. Harold, I appreciate this, but I don't need your money. I just needed you to be okay. Anyone would have done the same thing. Harold's laugh is short and sharp, tinged with something that might be sadness. No, son. Not anyone. I've been in business for 43 years, and I can count on one hand the number of people who would give their last dollar to a stranger. I didn't do anything special. You gave me your food money. Harold's voice cuts through Darius's protest. Your and your sister's food money, that's not nothing special, that's everything special. The paramedic taps her watch. Sir, really, we need to go. Harold nods but keeps his eyes on Darius. At least take something. Please, I can't stand the thought of you going hungry because you helped me. He reaches into his wallet again, but instead of money, he pulls out a business card. Unlike the waterlogged one floating in the puddle earlier, this one survived the storm in a protective sleeve. Take this. Call if you ever need anything. Anything at all. Darius accepts the card because refusing seems ruder than accepting. The cardstock is thick, expensive. The logo, a stylized tree with deep roots and golden leaves, is embossed with real gold foil. Harold Cromwell, Darius reads aloud. Cromwell Foundation. That's right. And Darius Williams, I want you to remember something. Harold reaches out and grips Darius's hand with surprising strength. What you did tonight wasn't small. It wasn't ordinary. And it won't be forgotten. Something in Harold's tone makes Darius look up sharply. The old man's eyes are completely clear now, sharp with intelligence and purpose. This isn't just gratitude talking. This is something else. Sir, are you sure you're feeling okay? You seem different. Harold's smile is enigmatic. I'm feeling clearer than I have in hours. Sometimes it takes a shock to the system to remember what really matters. Sarah the paramedic finally intervenes. Gentlemen, hospital. Now! As they load Harold into the ambulance, he calls out through the back window. Darius Williams, how did you know I needed help with more than just the cold? It's an odd question, specific in a way that catches Darius off guard. What do you mean? You knew exactly how to help someone with hypothermia. The small sips, the warming, the way you checked my breathing, that's not common knowledge. I took care of my grandmother when she was sick. Harold nods slowly as if this answer confirms something important. You remind me of someone very special to me, someone who would have done exactly what you did tonight. The ambulance doors close, but through the back window, Darius can see Harold still watching him with that intense, evaluating gaze. As the vehicle pulls away, red lights disappearing into the storm, Darius realizes he's been holding his breath. Ahmed appears beside him, shaking his head in amazement. Kid, you probably saved his life. He was heading toward severe hypothermia when you brought him in. How can you tell? My cousin's a paramedic. Says the old guy's lucky you found him when you did. Another hour in that storm. Ahmed shrugs. Different story. Darius looks down at the business card in his hand. The gold foil tree logo gleams under the gas station lights, and he notices something he missed before, an address in the Riverside district. The expensive neighborhood he walks through every day on his way to and from school. Cromwell Foundation, he murmurs. Wonder what that is. But as he starts his long walk home through the storm, Darius has no idea that Harold Cromwell isn't just anyone. He has no idea that the business card in his pocket represents one of the largest charitable foundations in the state. And he definitely has no idea that his name is already being entered into a database that will change everything. The next morning hits Darius like a cold slap of reality. No money for breakfast means splitting Maya's school lunch, half a peanut butter sandwich and a bruised apple between two growing kids. I'm not that hungry anyway, Maya lies, pushing the bigger half toward her brother. Maya, Darius, you walked through a storm last night helping someone. You need more energy than me. Sometimes his little sister's wisdom scares him. At 12, she already understands sacrifice in ways that would break most adults. They eat in comfortable silence, But Darius can't shake the feeling that something's different, changed, like the air pressure shifted overnight, and he's the only one who notices. The feeling intensifies when he walks into Brooks's corner market for his morning shift. Darius! Mr. Brooks's voice carries an excitement that makes Darius pause. In 3 years of working here, he's never heard Mr. Brooks excited about anything except good produce deliveries. Yes, sir? Very strange thing yesterday. After you left, a fancy man came asking about you. Darius's stomach drops. What kind of fancy man? Expensive suit, nice car. Asked if Darius Williams worked here, what kind of employee you are, how long you've been coming around. Mr. Brooks's eyes narrow with protective concern. Are you in some kind of trouble? I don't think so. But even as Darius says it, his mind races. Harold. It has to be connected to Harold somehow. What did you tell him? Told him you're a good kid, honest, work hard, help customers. But Darius... Mr. Brooks leans across the counter conspiratorially. This man, he had a notebook. Writing down everything I say, like an interview for a job or something. The strangeness continues at school. In the first period, Mrs. Patterson pulls Darius aside with news that makes no sense. Someone made an anonymous donation to your college fund yesterday. $500. I'm sorry, what? The guidance office received a cashier's check with specific instructions that go toward your education. No name attached, just for Darius Williams, a student of exceptional character. Darius stares at her, speechless. Yesterday he had $5.63. Today, someone he's never met is investing in his future. Mrs. Patterson, who would? I have no idea. But Darius, this kind of thing doesn't happen by accident. Someone believes in you. The mystery deepens at lunch when Maya finds him in the library, practically bouncing with excitement. Darius, you won't believe what happened. Mrs. Walsh says someone paid for my field trip to the Science Museum next month. The whole thing. Bus, admission, lunch, everything. Anonymous? Totally anonymous. The office just got a call from someone saying they wanted to sponsor Maya Williams, future engineer. Her eyes sparkle with possibility. How did they know I want to be an engineer? That's when it hits him. The business card. Harold Cromwell. The intense way he looked at Darius, like he was memorizing every detail. But it doesn't make sense. Harold was confused, disoriented, possibly homeless. Wasn't he? That evening, Darius finds himself at the public library typing Cromwell Foundation into the ancient computer's search engine. The results make his hands shake. $2.8 billion in charitable assets. Offices in 12 states. Harold Cromwell, founder and chairman. Distinguished philanthropist. Former Fortune 500 CEO. One of the most powerful men in charitable giving. The photos are too small to see clearly, but the description matches. Elderly, white-haired, known for hands-on approach to identifying worthy causes. Darius stares at the screen until his vision blurs. This can't be the same person. The confused old man on the bus bench can't be the same Harold Cromwell who manages billions of dollars and influences lives across the country. Can he? But then Darius remembers Harold's questions. The way he knew about Darius caring for his grandmother. The business card's expensive quality. The sharp intelligence that returned as Harold warmed up. His phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number. Darius, this is Harold. How are you and Maya doing today? HC. Darius stares at the message, his world tilting on its axis. Because sometimes the person you save in a storm turns out to be the storm changer himself. Darius stares at his phone screen until the words blur together. The text message glows like a neon sign announcing that reality just took a hard left turn. Darius, this is Harold. How are you and Maya doing today? HC. His thumb hovers over the reply button. What do you say to someone who might be a billionaire? Thanks for the sandwich money. Sorry I thought you were homeless. Before he can overthink it, his phone rings. Unknown number. Hello? Darius, it's Harold Cromwell. Do you have a few minutes to talk? The voice is completely different from 2 nights ago. Clear, confident, carrying the kind of authority that comes from years of making decisions that affect thousands of lives. This is not the confused old man who couldn't remember his phone number. Mr. Cromwell, Yes, sir. First, how are you feeling? Any cold symptoms from that storm? I'm fine, sir. But are you okay? The hospital released me this morning with a clean bill of health. Darius, I need to ask you something, and I want you to be completely honest. Have you looked up my foundation yet? The question catches Darius off guard with its directness. Yes, sir. I was confused about some things happening today. Harold's laugh is warm, genuinely amused. The college fund donation, Maya's field trip. My investigator is asking questions around your neighborhood. Your investigator? Darius, I'm going to tell you something that might sound crazy. Can you sit down? Darius is standing in the library stacks, surrounded by dusty books about American history. He slides down to sit on the floor, back against the shelves. I'm sitting. What happened the other night? You saved my life. It wasn't the first time we've met. Sir, I think I would remember, not you and me directly, but our families. They're connected in a way you don't know about yet. Harold's voice carries weight now, the kind that comes with difficult truths. Darius, what do you know about your father? The question hits like a physical blow. My father? Michael Williams, Army Sergeant, died in Afghanistan when you were 14. How do you... Darius's voice cracks. How do you know that? Because Michael Williams saved my son's life. The world stops. Everything stops. The library fades away. The sounds of other students researching and studying become white noise. Darius can hear his heartbeat in his ears, can feel his grandmother's compass keychain pressing against his leg through his pocket. I'm sorry, what? My son David was a lieutenant in Michael's unit. July 15th, 2019, IED explosion outside Kabul. David was trapped under debris, bleeding out. Enemy fire keeping the medics back. Harold's voice thickens with emotion even after all these years. Your father ran through that fire, pulled my son to safety. It took 3 bullets to do it. Darius can't breathe, can't think, can't process what he's hearing. David lived because of your father's courage, but Michael died 2 days later in the field hospital. Darius finishes the sentence he's heard a dozen times from Army casualty officers, from his grandmother, from the nightmares he still has sometimes. I flew to Germany to be with David while he recovered. The whole time, all he could talk about was Sergeant Williams, how brave he was, how he talked about his kids constantly, Darius, who was so smart, Maya, who was going to change the world, how proud he was of both of you. The library is completely silent now, or maybe Darius just can't hear anything over the roaring in his head. When David was stable enough to travel, I wanted to find your family, to thank you somehow. To help if I could. But by the time I tracked down your address, Grandma had moved us. The pieces clicked together with horrible clarity. After the funeral, she couldn't afford the old place. We moved to subsidized housing. You disappeared. No forwarding address, no contact information. I hired investigators, but... Harold's voice carries years of regret. The system failed you. Failed your father's memory. You've been looking for us? For 6 years, Darius. 6 years. The silence stretches between them, filled with the weight of time lost and connections missed. The other night, Harold continues, when you told me your name was Williams, I wondered. But when you mentioned your grandmother, when you talked about Maya wanting to be an engineer, David told me those exact details. And then when you helped me, the way you took charge, the natural leadership, the willingness to sacrifice for a stranger, I knew. You're Michael Williams' son. Darius's hands are shaking now. That's why you were asking those questions about my grandmother, about how I knew how to help with hypothermia. I had to be sure. But Darius, the moment you gave me your last $5, I knew for certain. You have your father's heart. I don't understand. If you've been looking for us, why the anonymous donations? Why not just... Because I needed to see who you really are, not who you might become if you knew I had billions of dollars. I needed to see your character when you thought no one important was watching. Harold's voice fills with something that sounds like wonder. And what I saw was exactly what your father would have raised. Someone who helps because helping is right, not because reward is guaranteed. Mr. Cromwell, this is a lot. I know. And I know it doesn't bring your father back, but Darius, I've been waiting 6 years to honor Michael Williams' memory by helping his children. And now what? Now I can finally keep the promise I made to your father's memory, that his sacrifice wouldn't be forgotten, that his children would have every opportunity he dreamed of for them. A knock on Darius's apartment door echoes through the phone. He can hear it from Harold's end of the call. Darius, are you home right now? No, I'm at the library. Good. Because I'm standing outside your apartment with Maya, and I think she's about to have some questions you'll want to help me answer. Yeah, because sometimes the stranger you save turns out to be the person who's been searching for you your whole life. Darius runs the 12 blocks home faster than he's ever run anything in his life. His lungs burn, his legs ache, but none of that matters because Harold Cromwell, billionaire philanthropist and the father of the soldier his dad died saving, is standing outside his apartment building talking to Maya. He rounds the corner to find exactly that scene, but it's not what he expected. Maya sits on the front steps, animated and excited, talking Harold's ear off about hydraulic engineering principles, while Harold listens with the patience of someone who genuinely cares about 12-year-old theories on water pressure systems. And that's why the Hoover Dam is such a marvel of engineering, Maya concludes, gesturing wildly. Remarkable, Harold says, and he means it. Your brother mentioned you want to be an engineer. Maya! Darius calls out, still breathing hard from his sprint. She jumps up, running to him with an expression of pure joy. Darius, this is Mr. Harold. He knew Daddy. The words hit Darius like a truck. Harold rises from the steps, and in daylight, cleaned up and healthy, he's a completely different person. The expensive suit fits perfectly. His silver hair is styled with authority. His handshake, when he offers it, is firm and confident. Hello, Darius. Thank you for coming home so quickly. Maya, how long have you been talking to Mr. Cromwell? Like 20 minutes. He has so many stories about engineering projects his foundation has funded. Did you know they built 3 schools with innovative water filtration systems in... Maya, Darius interrupts gently. Can you give us a few minutes? Adult stuff. She nods, sensing the weight in his voice, and disappears inside their building with a promise to start her homework. Harold watches her go with a smile that carries years of stored affection. She's exactly like David described. Brilliant, curious, determined to solve problems. David told you about Maya? Your father talked about both of you constantly. David said Michael carried pictures and would show them to anyone who'd listen. My kids are going to change the world, he'd say. Harold's eyes shine with memory. Apparently he was right. They sit on the steps where Maya had been, and Harold opens a leather briefcase that looks like it costs more than Darius's rent. I want to make you both an offer, a comprehensive one. Harold pulls out a thick folder with Williams Family Foundation scholarship, embossed on the cover. Education first. Full scholarship to any university you choose. Harvard, Yale, Stanford, MIT. Your choice entirely. All expenses covered. Tuition, room, board, books, technology, even spending money. Darius stares at the documents, trying to process numbers that don't make sense in his world. Mr. Cromwell, this is what your father earned for you. David is alive today because of Michael Williams. He's married now and has 2 children of his own. Every day of his life exists because your father chose courage over safety. Harold flips to the next section. Maya's education is covered too. Straight through graduate school if she wants it. Engineering programs, summer internships, research opportunities, everything she needs to become the engineer she's dreaming of being. Sir, this is too much. We can't. You can, and you will. But there's more. Harold's smile carries decades of business negotiations. I don't just want to send you to college, Darius. I want to prepare you to run your own foundation someday. He opens another folder. Mentorship program. You'll spend summers working directly with me, learning how charitable foundations operate, meeting with other philanthropists, business leaders, community organizers, learning to identify and invest in character the way someone just invested in yours. Darius's head spins with possibilities he's never allowed himself to imagine. You want me to work with you? I want you to learn from me, and then when you're ready, I want to help you start the Michael Williams Foundation for Character-Based Giving. A foundation that finds young people like yourself, people who help others without expecting reward, and gives them the tools to change the world. The weight of it settles on Darius like a warm blanket and a crushing responsibility all at once. There's also the immediate practical matters. Harold pulls out yet another document. New apartment, 2-bedroom place in the Riverside district, walking distance from Maya's new school. Rent paid for 4 years, giving you stability while you finish your education. Mr. Cromwell, monthly living allowance to replace your income from Mr. Brooks's store. Healthcare coverage for both of you. Transportation allowance. Emergency fund for unexpected expenses. Darius looks at the papers spread between them. Contracts and trust documents and bank routing numbers that represent a future he's never dared to dream. Why? The question comes out barely above a whisper. Why all this? Harold closes the briefcase and looks directly into Darius's eyes. Because, 6 years ago, I made a promise at your father's grave. I promised Michael Williams that his sacrifice would mean something, that his children would have every opportunity he dreamed of giving them himself. You went to his funeral? Flew back from Germany specifically for it. Stood in the back, watched 2 kids and their grandmother grieve for a hero, and swore I'd find a way to help. Harold's voice thickens. It took me 6 years to keep that promise. I won't let it take 6 more to fulfill it. The silence stretches between them, filled with the weight of decisions that will reshape everything. Darius, your father saved my son's life. Let me save yours. This isn't saving my life. This is changing it completely. Sometimes those are the same thing. Harold stands, extending his hand. What do you say? Darius looks up at their apartment building, cracked windows, peeling paint, the apartment where he and Maya have learned to make do with less than enough. Then he looks at Harold Cromwell, a man who's spent 6 years trying to honor a debt to a dead soldier by lifting up that soldier's children. He thinks about his grandmother's compass, always pointing toward doing right. He thinks about Maya's engineering dreams and his own buried hopes for college. He thinks about his father, who ran through enemy fire to save someone else's child, and wonders what Michael Williams would want for his own children. The answer is easy. Yes, sir. Yes, we accept. Harold's smile could power the entire city grid. Then let's go upstairs and tell Maya she's going to MIT. Because sometimes honoring the dead means bringing the living back to life. 6 months later, the transformation is so complete it feels like watching 2 different movies spliced together. Before, Darius walking 2 miles to school in worn-out Jordans, holes in the soles, stepping carefully around puddles, because getting sick means missing work, means no groceries. After, Darius pulls up to Harvard's campus in a reliable used car, purchased outright by the foundation, his backpack filled with new textbooks and a laptop that doesn't crash every 10 minutes. But the most remarkable changes aren't the visible ones. Maya thrives at Lincoln Academy, a STEM-focused preparatory school where her engineering dreams aren't just encouraged, they're cultivated. Her science fair project on urban water filtration systems wins the state championship and earns her a summer internship with the Army Corps of Engineers. I'm designing a water purification system that could work in disaster zones, she tells Darius over a video call from his dorm room. Like places where Daddy served, places where clean water could save lives. The pride in her voice mirrors the pride their father would have felt. Darius maintains his 3.8 GPA at Harvard while double majoring in public policy and business administration. But more importantly, he starts the Daily Heroes Initiative, a campus organization that identifies and supports students who demonstrate character through service. It's not about academic achievement, he explains to the Harvard Crimson reporter. It's about finding people who help others when no one's watching. Character matters more than credentials. The initiative spreads to 12 universities in its first semester, but Harold's investment extends far beyond the Williams family. The surprise Harold mentioned that night comes to fruition as the Michael Williams Community Development Grant, $500,000 invested directly into Darius and Maya's old neighborhood. Mr. Brooks's corner market received an expansion grant, transforming from a cramped convenience store into a full-service grocery with fresh produce, a pharmacy section, and 6 new local jobs. The store became the official headquarters for community scholarship applications, with Mr. Brooks serving as local coordinator. Very strange thing, Mr. Brooks tells anyone who will listen. One good kid helps one old man, and suddenly the whole neighborhood gets better. Makes you think about helping more often. The community center, previously a bare-bones after-school program, becomes a thriving hub with new computers, tutoring programs, and job training workshops. Mrs. Rodriguez, the elderly neighbor who used to struggle with grocery bags, now volunteers 3 days a week teaching Spanish to local children. When people help you, she explains to a local news reporter, it makes you want to help others. It's like, how do you say, paying it forward? The ripple effects multiply exponentially. 5 local teenagers receive character-based scholarships in the first year, recommended by teachers who learn to identify service-oriented students rather than just high achievers. The high school graduation rate increases by 23%. Local crime drops by 45% as more young people engage in community programs instead of street corners. 3 new businesses open in the previously struggling commercial district: a family restaurant run by scholarship recipients' parents, a computer repair shop training local teens in technology skills, and a community garden that supplies fresh vegetables to families who previously had no access to healthy food. The media attention brings unexpected benefits. Darius's story, titled "Teenagers' Kindness Transforms Neighborhood," gets picked up by national news outlets. The foundation receives its largest donation year in history as people across the country are inspired to support character-based giving. The Williams story proves what we've always believed, Harold tells NBC's morning show. Character multiplies. One act of genuine kindness creates ripples that transform entire communities. 12 new Michael Williams scholars are selected nationwide, each one identified through the same character-first approach that found Darius. The foundation expands from purely educational giving to comprehensive community development. Maya's influence spreads beyond academics. Her YouTube channel, Engineering for Everyone, reaches 100,000 subscribers with videos explaining complex scientific concepts in simple terms. Comments pour in from students worldwide. Maya made me realize I could be an engineer too. This helped me pass my physics test. Thank you for making science feel possible. By year's end, the transformation is undeniable. The old neighborhood where Darius once counted quarters for lunch money now buzzes with activity, hope, and opportunity. Children who once saw education as a luxury now see it as an achievable goal. But perhaps the most powerful change is the simplest one. The bronze plaque installed outside Mr. Brooks's store reads, Michael Williams Community Center, where character creates change. Below it, a smaller inscription, in honor of Sergeant Michael Williams, who taught us that helping others isn't just about saving lives, it's about changing them. The dedication ceremony draws hundreds of neighbors, students, and scholarship recipients. Local news cameras capture Darius speaking at the podium, with Maya beside him and Harold watching from the crowd with the satisfaction of a promise finally kept. My father believed that helping others makes us all stronger, Darius tells the gathered community. This center proves he was right. When we invest in character, we invest in everyone's future. As the crowd disperses, a young mother approaches Darius with her 10-year-old son. My boy wants to apply for the scholarship program when he's older, she says. But first, he has a question for you. The boy looks up with serious eyes and asks, Mr. Darius, how do I know when someone needs help? Darius smiles, remembering a storm-soaked night when he asked himself the same question. You'll know, he says, and when you do, you help. That's how this works. Because sometimes changing one life means changing 1,000 others. 2 years later, Darius Williams stands in the same gas station where he once spent his last $5 saving a stranger's life. But this time, he's not the one doing the saving. The letter arrived that morning, delivered to his Harvard dorm room by special courier. Foundation letterhead, Harold's signature, and a case that would test everything Darius had learned about recognizing character in others. Her name is Keisha Johnson, Darius reads aloud to the gas station attendant. Ahmed, who still works here and remembers that stormy night like it was yesterday. 17 years old, caring for 3 younger siblings after their grandmother's death. Honor roll student, works 2 part-time jobs, dreams of becoming a doctor. Ahmed nods, listening to the familiar story structure. Sounds like someone we know. Yesterday, she used her last $12 to buy groceries for an elderly neighbor whose food stamps ran out early. The neighbor turned out to be a retired school principal who's been quietly identifying students with exceptional character for our foundation. The cosmic poetry isn't lost on either of them. Darius pulls up Keisha's file on his tablet, a technology upgrade that still feels surreal sometimes. The photos and background check reveal exactly what he expected. A young woman who helps others naturally, consistently, without expectation of reward. The foundation wants me to evaluate her for the scholarship program, Darius explains. First time Harold's trusted me to make this kind of decision independently. And I already know what I'm going to recommend. Darius's smile mirrors the one Harold wore that night when he decided to change a teenager's life. She's exactly what we're looking for. His phone buzzes with a text from Maya, now a sophomore at MIT studying civil engineering. Heard about the Keisha case? Dad would be proud of you carrying this forward. Sometimes Darius still can't believe this is his life. Last month, he had dinner at the White House as part of a youth leadership forum. Next month, he's speaking at the Gates Foundation about character-based giving. In 18 months, he'll graduate Harvard and begin working full-time for the Cromwell Foundation, with plans to launch the Michael Williams Foundation by his 25th birthday. But right now, in this gas station where his life changed forever, Darius makes the call that will change someone else's. Harold, it's Darius. I've reviewed the Keisha Johnson case. And? She's perfect. Let's change her life. Harold's laugh carries the satisfaction of a mentor watching his student master the lesson. I'll start the paperwork. You want to make the initial contact yourself? I'll drive down to Richmond tomorrow. Take her somewhere public, neutral, maybe a coffee shop. Remember what I taught you about the approach? Darius touches his grandmother's compass keychain, still attached to his belt loop, still pointing toward doing right. Watch how she treats people who can't help her. Listen for what she doesn't say about her sacrifices. Look for character when she thinks nobody's watching. Perfect. Oh, and Darius? Yes, sir? Your father would be proud. Da. After hanging up, Darius stands in the fluorescent-lit store where kindness once saved his life, preparing to become the saving grace in someone else's story. Ahmed rings up a customer, an elderly woman buying soup with food stamps, and automatically rounds down the total by 50 cents. Inventory error, he explains with a wink. Some lessons spread faster than others. Darius heads toward his car, already planning how to approach Keisha Johnson with the opportunity that will transform her world. As he reaches the door, he passes a teenage boy helping his younger sister count coins for a candy bar, giving her the bigger portion without being asked. Character recognizes character, and the cycle continues. Because sometimes the person you save today becomes the person who saves someone else tomorrow. Look around you today, right now. There's someone who needs what you have to give. Maybe it's not your last $5. Maybe it's your time, your attention, your willingness to see someone who feels invisible. Maybe it's helping a neighbor with groceries, tutoring a struggling student, or simply listening to someone who needs to be heard. Darius Williams didn't know he was saving a billionaire that stormy night. He just knew someone needed help, and he had something to give. That choice, that single moment of choosing kindness over convenience, changed 2 lives, transformed a community, and created ripples that are still spreading today. Your moment is coming. Maybe it's already here. What will you choose when it arrives? If this story reminded you that small acts create big changes, hit that like button. Share it with someone who needs to believe in kindness again. And subscribe to Black Voices Speak, because every week we're finding more proof that good people still exist, and you can be one of them. Your $5 moment is waiting.